Truck. Wiggle out. Jump. Run. Somebody.
I'm scared.
I know. I'm gonna be there in your head talking to you the whole time.
Truck. Wiggle out. Jump when the truck slows down. Run. Somebody.
You alright?
Jack, listen to me. This is our chance.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and this is Davis, and today for E23 on Everyone's a Critic, we're reviewing the Oscar-nominated movie Room. Davis, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Room is about?
So Room is about a mother and her son trapped in a legitimate room, and it's all about their story of their escape and their survival afterwards. So, well, I say survival, they're coping with afterwards. We'll go with that. So let's have a look.
Thank you for letting us do this interview. We're grateful to hear your story.
Thank you to everyone who sent their good thoughts and their prayers.
For 5 years, you made life in that small room, that prison, as nurturing and normal as you could.
You're so old now.
You are so old now.
Yep.
Hey, do you know what we're gonna do today?
What?
We are going to bake a birthday cake. You chose to tell Jack that Room was the whole world, that there was nothing else.
Good morning, lamp. Good morning, plant. Good morning, sink.
I wanted him to feel safe and that it was a great place for him to live.
When I saw this movie, I saw it the same day I saw Carol.
Okay.
And they're both big independents. But to me, Room had so much more staying power. Like, after I saw it, I wanted to talk about all these different aspects of it because it was just so unique.
It was. Room was one of those movies where I had to just sit in my seat while the credits rolled and just sit there quietly for a minute and try and process everything that had just happened in the last, 1.5, 2 hours. It was very, very powerful.
I will say it was not my favorite movie of the ones nominated. However, that being said, I mean, like I said, there's parts I didn't like, there's parts I did like. But the part that had staying power with me was the relationship between the mother and the son and how firm it held throughout.
Definitely, definitely. I don't remember exactly what it said, but I remember I read an article about how the mother's interaction with her son was something that realistically could have gotten him through that tragedy like it did in the movie. It realistically could have saved him from all the traumatic emotional damage. And I thought that they really, really showed that so well, the struggles of being in such a confined space for so long and trying to make a life, the mother trying to make a life for her son. I thought they really, really portrayed that well, both the ups and downs of it.
Yeah, I say Jacob Tremblay, I believe is how you say his last name, playing Jack. He was terrific. The scenes where he finds out that there's life outside the room, because he was born in the room. And he has to find out that there's stuff outside of it, and he doesn't want to accept it.
He doesn't want to.
It was so believable.
It was.
Oh my God, he was
good.
terrific. And I don't know if that's more of a testament to him as a young child actor being able to show that kind of range in him of this boy slowly discovering the world. Or more of a testament to Lenny Abramson. Abramson? Abramson, yeah.
Abramson. It's a good question. And it also could have a lot to do, with all the surrounding actors and actresses, his mother mainly.
Which, Brie Larson. It's like, I saw her in Short Term 12.
Okay.
I thought she was terrific in that film.
Yeah.
And since then, she's been doing more and more. And I think she's finally starting to get the attention she deserves, because I think she's very talented.
This is the first film that I've seen her in. But now that I've seen her in one, I'm definitely going to look out and try and catch more of the stuff that she's in, because she did such a phenomenal job. And just like you're saying how the Jack the boy showed this range of emotion, I thought she showed a great range of emotion. She was able to play, this strong motherly figure who made this world for her son. And at the same time, you saw her as this poor, broken girl who was stolen at age 17. And those are such completely different characters.
Oh, yeah.
But in this situation, she had to play both of them. And she played it phenomenally well.
And to me, she's a shoo-in. Award season. I think she's just going to sweep. She's already starting to sweep. I think she's going to sweep the entire award season, basically.
I could very, very easily see that.
And this is a tragedy of film to me, and that this was an adapted screenplay, of course. It was adapted by the author who wrote the book, too. However, I went to see it with my dad, and he had read the book, so he knew what to expect. And afterwards, I said, how did this compare to the book? And he said, it's a shame because Brie Larson's such a terrific actress, and there's so much in the book about her side of the story, about her recovery from her narration. And this really only focused on the boys' adaptation into it.
Very true. If I could change one thing about this movie, it definitely would be seeing more of her character and the more of the before and after effects that it had on her. You know, what was she like before that she got kidnapped and she was stuck in this room? And then you get glimpses of her recovery, but you never fully get a look into what's going on with her. And I really would have loved to see that more played out, because what was great to focus on the boy, and I think that added a great element to the film. Just out of curiosity's sake, I would have loved to see more how it affected her.
Yeah. And that's, again, that's with film, you can only fit so much.
Exactly.
And so I guess to her, the author, it was more important to show the boy side of it. But, and I'll admit, this kind of just bothered me in general. And voiceover doesn't normally bother me, but his voiceover kind of narrations felt out of place and unneeded.
Yeah, I could see that. When the movie first starts off and you first gain that voiceover narration, I was a little like, I don't know how I feel about this.
I was
Not
worried.
sure if I'm digging it.
I was very worried.
But the more it went on, the more I liked it.
Yeah, I would say it grows on you, but it still never felt, you know, right in place. And I love it when they're in the hospital and he gets out of the bed and he goes, what planet are we on? Or something of that nature. Like, what universe are we in?
Yeah, that was cute.
And it's just, you, as a viewer, you wanted to be in his head so much. Like, oh, it was terrific. And again, I feel like where this movie's strongest point was the director, Lenny Abramson.
Yeah.
Frank is one of my favorite movies. It's so quirky, and he brings that quirkiness into this again. Like, it was a different kind of quirky, though. Frank's quirky in a fun way where you're like, yeah. And this was quirky in kind of a dark, like, this is not your average kind of thriller kind of movie.
Very true, because the setting of the movie was it could have easily been a very thriller movie, especially the, spoiler alert, the escape scene when they finally get out of room, because it could have been this very dramatic, you know, action sequence, but instead it's this little boy having to try and save both him and his mother, and it was so different than what I expected of how the escape scene to go, but at the same time, it was so good and so right that they did it that way.
And he had to pretend he was dead.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God. And I will say, the best scene of the year was the escape scene. Of any movie, that was the best scene. The tension in there of, is he gonna get out of this rug at the first part? Because he gets rolled up in a rug.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to remember what his mom told him. He's trying to wiggle out of this, and you're like, oh, he's not gonna make it.
He's not gonna make it, and then what?
And then he hops out, and he doesn't run at first, and you're like, no, go. But
and then he can't remember anything, and he's confused, and you're just, I was holding my breath the entire time. I was holding my breath.
Yeah.
It was so intense.
I loved the point of view shot though too, of where he first hits and you see him look up and you can hear his breath and breathing hard, and he's just looking around. And he's like, "Oh my God, trees are real.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a dog."
Yeah, and I like how everything was kind of slow motion-y and blurry and kind of, because it really made you feel like you were also experiencing the world for the first time. Because it makes sense. He's been in a dark room his
It's
whole
a
life.
daze.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just terrific. And we got to talk about there's some heartfelt scenes in this. You know, there's some scenes
Definitely.
that really, you know, tug at the heartstrings. And I think one of my favorite would have to have been the dog, when he gets to see the dog for the first time.
Yes. Oh, that was so good.
His name was Sparky.
That was so good. I really enjoyed his the little boy's relationship with his mother's stepdad. I think it was her mother's stepdad.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really great to watch, because in the first half of the film, you see him and his mother's relationship, and that's really the only relationship you get. And then in the second half of the film, my favorite relationship shifted from him and his mother to him and the stepdad, because I think the stepdad really kind of built this world for the boy that made him able to adjust.
It's a father figure. He finally gets a father figure.
And you see in the first half of it the bits and pieces of him kind of wanting that father figure, and then he finally gets it. But the way that, you know, the stepdad he slowly opens up to the boy. He doesn't force the boy to be best friends with him instantly or, you know, make that connection. He slowly opens up to the boy, which I think allows the boy to open up to him.
Yeah.
I thought that was really great.
What I loved is how at the very beginning of the movie, you don't know what's outside the room either.
True.
Like, as I'm watching this film, I'm trying to figure out what's happening. I'm trying to figure out, is it post-apocalyptic? Is someone keeping them here to keep the race alive? And they're waiting for him to get older? Or is like, why is she locking the boy in the closet? Like, and it was so bizarre. And to me, like, you don't get to see outside until they see outside. You're really invested in these people. You know what they know about the world.
Very true.
And that initial shock factor of, I've been kidnapped and I had to have this molesting, just terrible person. I had to have this child, and that's you. Like, and then the interview scene when she gets interviewed about it, and she goes,
Yes.
how can you accept that her father is this man? Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
the interview scene made me so angry. I'm still angry about it. The interview lady who is totally just pushing all this poor woman's boundaries and all of her buttons, and the part where, again, spoiler alert, the part where she says, wouldn't it have been, did you ever consider, you know, sending Jack away or like giving him away to a hospital? Which, first of all, don't know how she would have done that. Like, oh yes, let me just hand my baby over to this man who's keeping me, you know?
You don't know what he would have done.
Exactly. And like, she's like, don't you think it would have been better for the boy? Like, oh, I can't.
No,
I can't.
it's her
Makes
son.
me too angry.
And that's what I loved about it is that was her son. And she fought tooth and nail with that woman.
Yeah.
She goes, that's not her father. He doesn't have a father.
Yeah.
Or that's not his father, excuse me. Which I will admit, I thought he was a chick for a little while there. Because he has long hair to start with. And I thought she was hiding him
Yeah.
as kind of a way to
Oh.
keep, like, that's why she shoved him in the closet all the time, was kind of just say, so he wouldn't figure out she's a female, basically. And it was, but then, like, you find out the hair it's a Samson hair.
It's a Samson
and
hair,
where he
it's
gets
a
strength.
strength. It was
and then,
cute.
and that develops, too, like, they use that.
Yeah.
He realizes he can be strong without it, too, and that was like, oh, like, and again, this goes back to Jacob Tremblay doing a great job acting. You see that transition, he's getting more confident in this world.
Yeah.
He's literally like a baby in this world, but he's 10. It's like, what if a baby had a 10-year-old's thought process, but just now got in the world? What would it be like?
Exactly.
That's room.
Exactly. And it was those little details like that where like his hair was his strength, and it was those little details that the mom, you know, instilled into their world and kind of built up for him that I think made the movie and their relationship really so special. She kind of, you know, she fostered all these quirky little details about room and their world that really that made it survivable for him, and I thought that was really great.
So one more thing, and this is my biggest pet peeve about this movie.
Okay.
Is when people go to talk about it, they say The Room. And they'll clearly say, like when they're not, like during nominations, I think the Golden Globes kept calling it The Room. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
completely
Completely
different movies.
different.
But you know, I find this fact incredible. The Room and Room were both made for $6 million budgets.
Really?
And one of them's an Oscar-nominated picture, and the other one's the worst movie of all time. That shows you what a director can do to a movie, and what a talent.
Very
Because
true.
when you think about it, of course it wasn't that much of a budget. They didn't have many sets. You know, they didn't have
Very
like
true.
they stay in a room for half the film,
Half the film.
and then they go to a hospital, and then they go to a house. Like they don't move very much.
Yeah.
And so they didn't have to pay much for that. So probably most of the money went to Brie Larson and Lindy Abramson. But those were such good investments.
Very true. Very, very true.
And for an independent film to do what Room did and Brooklyn did and Carol did, I think we're really starting to see the breakthrough of independent films into the massive audience. Like, because you know,
culture.
they've been getting popular. Like everyone talks about Tarantino and Richard Linklater. You know,
Yeah.
they're the big indie filmmakers who started out. Now they're big, and I think we're starting to see another original. I mean, Sundance
Definitely.
came. People are talking about films from that now. You know, Netflix and Amazon are fighting for these movies now, and it's people want to see independent because those are the ones that make you feel. And I think if the Oscar movies nominated, those were the ones that really got you. And Film 4 is a great production company. They've released a lot of the top movies this year.
Very, very true. All right, so final thoughts and rating. What do you think of Room?
I think Room is probably middle of the pack for my Oscar nominations. It's around Spotlight for me, which were kind of in the middle of the pack for me. I'd give it an 8.2 out of 10.
8.2 out of 10. All right. I very much enjoyed Room. Out of the Oscar nominees that I've seen, it's probably been the one that I would peg as the winner. Granted, I've only seen 4 of them. But if I had to pick from what I've seen, I would say it was going to take it. But I very much enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story, enjoyed the characters, and enjoyed just everything about it. So I would probably have to give it between a 7.5 and an 8.5. I can't quite decide between that two, but somewhere in that range.
I will say, before we close it out real quick, I don't think it will win for Best Picture. Of course, I've already said that. But I do think it might win for Best Director, and it's definitely going to win for
Best Actress.
For actress. Yeah, she's
Best
actress, right?
Actress.
Leading actress? Yeah.
Yes.
I think we'll
Leading
definitely win
actress.
for both those two.
All right. For E23, I'm Olivia, and this is Davis, and this is Everyone's a Critic.